Welcome to the No Mercy Business Coaching Podcast with Emily A. Woodruff, the podcast that walks you through managing your own small business through the highs and the lows. We'll talk with small business owners from all over the U.S. and share insights on how to help manage your business without the extra fluff and connect with other women just like you. Let's dive in. Well, thank you everyone for being here today. This is your host, Emily A. Woodruff. I have a special guest with us today. Her name is Lei Deng. Lei, do you want to give an introduction of yourself and kind of what you do?
I'm a fee only financial planner. I think everybody probably have their own conception of what a financial planner or financial advisor do. And oftentimes it's funny because it doesn't really match up exactly with what I do. So really people kind of think about it just managing investments, stuff like that. But being a financial planner actually means that you kind of touch every single aspect when anything that is in your life that's related to money, we should be able to help you with. So that's really what's fun about the job as well. So that's kind of a 10,000 feet view of what a financial planner is. So it just really everything that's related to money.
Perfect. So how did you get started with your business? How did you know that this is what you wanted to
Yeah.
pursue?
So it was a little bit funny because it was not what I intended to do from the get-go, but now I think back at it, it's inevitable like that I'm here today. So I actually immigrated from China and I came to the
Okay.
US for my master's. Yeah, for my
Okay.
master's in finance. So when I was doing the program and when you're in a business school doing the finance program, a lot of times really the most glamorous job or like the sexy job are investment bankers. They talk about Wall Street all the time, investment banking or asset management.
Mhm.
So that kind of was what I set my goal to. And I just had this such a narrow focus at the time. I didn't even know what's in my peripheral vision. So I kind of would just like, this is my goal. I want to be where I want to be doing this job that's filled with glamour. I can prove my self-worth.
Yeah.
That's when I will be able to prove my self-worth when I get the job. And then I did. I worked for a hedge fund for several years right out of school, and then I worked in research roles in asset management functions. And then I was where I wanted to be. I set a goal for myself. I wanted to make six figure before I turned 30. And then I did. And then it did not feel
Good for you.
fulfilling. Thanks. But the thing is, it felt like after I just had such a narrow focus, and that was my goal. I didn't think beyond that. But after I got to that point, it felt kind of empty. It
Hmm.
felt like I didn't know how I was contributing to this world. But the day-to-day business, I have two young kids. So getting up for work, getting the kids ready, take them to daycare, coming, like go to work and do all this
Yeah.
stuff, pick them up, cooking, all of the stuff, just kind of. So that voice in my head, in the back of my head, it's like, is this really what you wanted to do? Kind of just got
Hmm.
drowned with the day-to-day business. I didn't really have time to think about that. After COVID, I think a lot of us had really life-changing experiences during COVID, and I know you did.
Yeah.
And so after that, I really I got more time. I don't have to, like, kids are at home. I just doing everything we can to survive. That really put things into perspective of, oh my gosh, what's my purpose, what is my value, and then really have so much time to sit with my own thoughts, which is dangerous. So so that's when I just felt like I just kind of started questioning everything, started questioning, is this really what I wanted? And then I realized I never really had a second thought about my career choice. I never really thought about what I want to do. It's always about, what do I think other people would want to do in my position? So who am I? So I actually just went down this rabbit hole of this huge self-discovering journey of who I am and what do I want to do. So that was one portion of it. So, but I knew that was the corporate job was probably not for me anymore. It's I learned a lot from it. I loved it when I did, but it's probably not for me anymore. At the same time, right before COVID, actually, kind of everything kind of happened. Interesting timing. My
Yeah.
husband left his previous firm. He was a small partner at a CPA firm. He left his firm pretty abruptly and then started his own company. But as entrepreneurs, you and I probably, both know that it takes time to
Yeah.
build up your business. It takes time. It's not just taxing on money, it's also taxing on your brain,
Hmm.
like self-doubt, imposter syndrome, doubting yourself, all of the
Yeah.
things just creeps in. So it was really really hard time, and that compounded with COVID. And so but I was thinking back at it, we're both very glad that this happened, because it really kind of forced us to give us more perspective, forced us to prioritize things in our lives. So for a while we only had my income coming in, so it was a huge shift of what we needed to do for our day-to-day life, and really had forced us to think about what we value and what we want to keep. We really had to go into our budget and start slashing things, and
Yeah.
it was not fun, but it really made us realize, what do we value, what we enjoy spending money on, what do we not. So and then we refinanced our mortgage, did a lot of different things that is part of the financial planning process. We
Hmm.
did that on ourselves. So, and fortunately, thinking back at it, it was kind of a miracle that we just weather through this rough patch unscathed. And so it was really crazy. And then so after that, I was doing investment research before, and it's just really hard for you to beat the index, like if you want to perform better than SP 500, that is such difficult thing. And then I look at my spending every month, and I say, okay, I saved hundreds of dollars every month from refinancing my mortgage. We cut a lot of our spending, we redid our budget. It was tight, but we didn't feel like really we were deprived, because we really kind of like aligned our spending with our values. And then, so all of this stuff just made me realize the hard dollar value of financial planning. Not just, there's a dollar amount to it, but there's also the time that it really kind of helped us to be stronger. Our relationship actually grew stronger because of that, because we were able to kind of have open communication throughout this whole process. So it actually made our relationship stronger. So after all of that, I just realized, oh my gosh, that he was an entrepreneur. He started his own firm. He dealt with everything
Hmm.
that we dealt with, we were dealing with now, probably. But at the end of the day, it was great. The freedom, like I'm from China, so I still want to take my kids to China. My
Hmm.
husband is Hispanic, like his mom is retiring to back to Mexico, so we will also want to take our kids to Mexico. So there's no job in the world, like there are very few jobs in the world, let me say that will allow me to have the flexibility to take the kids back to experience their heritage,
Yeah.
to keep their heritage. So I was like, well, this is it. When you piece all of the things together, it's really hard to think of anything other than being a financial planner and having my own practice.
Yeah.
And that's also really like where I get to directly influence and help people with their personal finance choices. And really, I really do feel like I make a difference. And so, like this whole time, and I looking back at it, it really is very rewarding. So everything kind of rolled together. The universe works in a mysterious way, so I think it was, I'm here for a reason. So yeah. So to just a long answer to your question, but I didn't really start out try to do financial planning, but
Sure.
it kind of all became inevitable.
That's great. That's really great. So where are you located now?
I mean, St. Louis, Missouri.
Okay.
But yeah, but we do, like, with technology, COVID, the blessing in disguise is that, like, we
Yeah.
can have a conversation,
Yeah.
even we're so far away. And the same thing with my clients too. So I actually do serve clients in all over the US as well.
That's great.
Mhm.
That's great. I kind of just try to keep track and see, how many people I can influence
Yeah.
and things. It's fun.
Yeah, that's fun.
Yeah. So it sounds like you've learned a lot in the last couple of years since,
Yeah.
post-COVID. What's something that your job has taught you that you think that everybody should learn in their lifetime?
Yeah. It just have more empathy to people. It's
Good one.
not no, because it's not anything about money or anything, but really because being in my role, I see so many things that people don't show others day
Yeah.
in, day out. And it's super super it's so powerful to me. And I would never take that for granted that this is a
Mhm.
privilege that I get to experience this with my clients. But you quickly realize also that what people show on the outside might not be what they're experiencing. A lot of us going through day by day, sometimes we look like we have it all together, but
Mhm.
maybe deep down we don't, and we're very vulnerable. So you never know whatever anybody is going through, so they
Yeah.
might yeah they might be having a really really hard time. You just don't know it yet, so trying to approach things with a little bit more empathy is is what I have learned through this journey. And there's this book that also came out in 2020. It's called Psychology of Money. It's my one of my all-time favorite books by Morgan Housel.
Mhm.
I encourage everyone, if you're interested in learning about personal finance, to read that book because it's an easy read. There's no jargons, and it's really focused on not just the technical side of it. There is technical side of the financial planning in this book, but
Sure.
there's also a lot more of how do you manage your emotions, your like understand psychology. And
Mhm.
one of the quote from the book is so powerful, and I say it back to myself every day. It says nobody is crazy. So people make their financial decisions, or any decision in their lives, because they had certain life experience.
Mhm.
Everything they experienced before in their lives led them to make this decision. With what they have experienced, what knowledge is available to them,
Mhm.
they made the rational decision. It was the nobody is crazy. Nobody makes crazy decisions,
Right.
So that really helped me to reframe things, and then helped me to really try to leave behind of any of my preconceived notion or my assumptions,
Mhm.
and just approach everything with a blank sheet of paper, and really hold a space that's not judgmental for my clients too. um and I think that happens with everyone, not just I'm just using example of my own work,
Sure.
but that really, and I really feel like that helped me to become a better person, just because that I have a deeper understanding of, sometimes we have to keep up, we keep up a facade, so you
Mhm.
never know what people are experiencing or feeling that day underneath. So, yeah, so just try to be a little bit more empathetic, try to, build a bridge of communication instead of, being so divided. I
Mhm.
think I think we can all use a little bit more of that, myself,
Yeah.
even myself too. Yeah.
No, that's great. I mean, and not to go down this rabbit hole for too long, but that's kind of the meaning behind my podcast name is No Mercy Business Coaching. I am somebody who really struggles with mercy and empathy and not seeing things as black and white. And that's part of it though, is that there's good that comes with that, but interpersonally, sometimes it's like, oh no, okay, not everything is like that, most things aren't, and I need to
Yep.
take a step back and realize that people are people and um so that's just a little personal application there.
No, I love that you shared it, because we all do. I think we all do struggle with that. Sometimes it is just so much easier if the world is black and white, isn't it? Like you just don't have
Yeah, it
to,
really would be.
right?
That's great. So more on the financial side, what's
Yeah.
some advice you would give an entrepreneur or a woman
Mhm.
entrepreneur that's seeking you out for financial planning assistance? What's some advice you would give them?
Yeah. So the first thing I would say is to get to know yourself better. So in a personal finance, as I've learned, it's not a, like we just talked about, it's not black and white. There's no one size fit all solution. So if you like, I would love to help you look at your finances and see what, can get you to a better place. But first of all, I need to understand what drives you, what you love, what your values are, what is your personal experience with money, because all of that shapes how you approach, like it shapes your worldview, it shapes how you approach the world. So that is really important, and it really comes down to, a lot of times for personal finance, it's a choice. It's not about this is the right decision, that's the wrong decision.
Hmm.
Most of the time, 99% of the time, it's about a trade-off. If you choose A, you can't choose B. And then they both have the good things about them, and then they both have something that's not so good about them. So knowing the value, knowing what you love, if you really get to understand yourself more, we have a North Star where we can have to guide us
Yeah.
to where we should go. So that is really, really important. So, and really oftentimes the clients that really do understand themselves get more out of it,
Hmm.
because it's easier for them to make this decision on certain things, and then they don't feel, because a lot of times they don't feel FOMO, they don't feel regret,
Sure.
they are not tempted by crypto,
Right.
they're
Right.
not tempted, or any other hot investment of the moment. So
Yeah.
they are, so yeah, so I think that's definitely one of the first things I would encourage everyone to do, and I think everybody can benefit from that as well, not just in financial planning. If you come to me or not, I think that's just a good starting point.
That's great.
Yeah.
Do you have anybody in your field that you love to follow on social media?
Yes, I do. I don't use Instagram and Facebook a lot. Like, well, I use Facebook. Yeah, I'm trying to build up a more social presence, social media presence. I know it's very important, but I do use Twitter a lot for my own networking purpose. I'm sorry about my dog.
That's okay.
He wants to jump in.
That's okay. We love dogs here.
Yeah. So yeah, so I actually, and then I think this is why I love the job that I do too. I have this corner, I'm in this corner called fee only financial planners. So for us, basically what that means, I get the question a lot, what does fee only mean? Which basically means that, we only get paid by our clients, we don't get kickback or commission from any other resources. So that's, for me, that's a good way for me to make sure that I'm not like biased when I'm
Sure.
recommending things, not saying that I would otherwise, but it's always good to have this structure set up there.
Sure.
So but within this group, I actually, before I become a Financial planner, I kind of felt like, oh, we have the set amount, just kind of the fixed mindset. We only have this many people, and I'm competing with every other financial
Sure.
advisors. Everybody's a competitor to me. But once I kind of come into this space, it really helped me to understand that, hey, I can only take on probably 50, 60 clients.
Right.
This business is not scalable. And there are a lot of people out there that still need help, so, and it's not a competition, it's a collaboration. And we can all join forces together to also kind of, do better, like more education to the general public about the things that can do, and then make the pie bigger for everybody jointly. So that's a long story to lead to that. I actually follow a lot of other financial planners, like fee
Sure.
only financial planners on Twitter too. And I just love how because like I'm a certified financial planner, and I'm, chartered financial analyst. So it's two pretty technical designations. So the technical part is fine. But really this job has a lot more interaction, kind of how do you not use jargon and use the concept that's you make analogy works? How do you sometimes simplify a concept that has a lot of nuances, but how do you simplify that to deliver this message? So I love following them and see how they do that, because everybody kind of have their own flavor. They kind of approach it a little bit differently. So actually follow a lot of people on like financial planners on Twitter, and
Mm-hmm.
we're a lot of women too, because that's what I'm really passionate about, for women and immigrants, because that's two biggest underserved community.
Yeah.
And yeah, so, and there's just countless of research and study, personal stories and story that I heard from the group that we met, and a lot of different things that really made me want to focus on women, to make us all feel like we're heard. So there are a lot of like female financial planners that I follow, and then they would kind of you know periodically get together to talk about, this is what I see from my clients, and something that helps them, and how do you approach stuff like that. So
Mm-hmm.
it's really cool to feel like I don't have to put on any armor or be combative, and instead we're just a big happy group of people that just want to do the best
Yeah.
for everybody. Yeah, so it's been amazing. But yeah, but also people like Morgan Housel, like I love him. I just think that he really does really good research, and then he can really put everything really in a straightforward way to communicate that.
Mm-hmm.
And then there are several other people that's in the personal finance space as well. If you want, like I can give you a couple of links to
Sure.
their stuff. I like Remit Sethi, I think like a lot of people know him.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, just all of the stuff, just so yeah, so it's really fun. It's really fun to like follow them, see how everybody else does things, and kind of
Yeah.
like figure out my own style as well.
Yeah. No, that's great. Um, is there anything additional that you would want our listeners to know about you and your business?
Yeah, I just want to know everybody to know that they're doing a good job. I see this thing on this in this group a lot, and then I think I've experienced this myself, a lot of imposter syndrome, a lot of highs when I did something great, something kind of paid off, a lot of lows when I feel like I'm just the biggest piece of ass in the world,
Yeah.
and I think we all go through a lot of emotional, up and downs, but at the end of the day, just show up, just show up and keep doing what you do. Give yourself space to you don't have to be perfect,
Mm-hmm.
be sympathetic, like how just treat yourself how you want to treat others as well. Sometimes we are our harshest critic.
Usually.
Have mercy on yourself. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that's really important, especially as women. I think we tend to focus on what we're not doing well, which is great. It helps us to get better. But sometimes it's also good to celebrate what we've done well.
Mm-hmm.
And I just hope everyone, and then if you have any question at all, any listener today, if you have any questions, you can feel free to email me or DM me, with any questions. I would love to help. You don't have to be clients, and
Mm-hmm.
we can just, talk about what's bothering you, so yeah, so all of that is welcome. It helped me to understand different perspective too. So it's really a
Sure.
win-win situation. Yeah.
That's great. So where can our listeners find you online?
Yeah. So I have my own practice, but I'm part of a well, not big company. We're fairly small, but part of a company called Core Planning. So you can find my page on www.yourcoreplan.com/Lei, my first name Lei, dash my last name D as in David, E as in Eagle, N as in Nancy, and G as in George. So that's my bio page. You will find a little bit more story about myself, and my contact information, and some of my media mentions. So if you have any questions specific from these articles or podcasts, you might be able to find that through there as well.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time today. It was great to
Yeah, no.
meet with you.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah. Well, we will cut this one for today, and I will talk to you guys next week. Thanks for listening to the No Mercy Business Coaching and Consulting Podcast with Emily A. Woodruff. We specialize in branding and design for women, by women.